All right, welcome to the third game of the evening. I guess in this case, game, because this is a collection, the Gobliiins collection. Um, I've been trying to figure out the emphasis on this franchise for like 30 years, and I've never been able to figure that out.
The first chunk of the document included documentary. The guy says that they are considering goblinoids, but in the end they just went with goblins, but with three eyes to indicate the fact that in the first game you're controlling three guys. And then the second game, Goblins 2, you're controlling two guys, so there's only two.
Yeah.
And
So
actually it looks like, and then like 3 I think only has one. 4 has either 1 or 3, and 5 it looks like has 3.
yeah. Um, So yeah, so Goblins here is a franchise that has quite a bit of legacy behind, most of which is beyond me, because um, I I saw Goblins around in the '90s, both in stores and in various computer catalogs, but it's not a thing I ever played. It was one of the many. I really cannot emphasize how many point and click adventure game series Sierra Online had back in the 90s.
Mhm.
Um,
So this, I believe, is
and
not actually Sierra. This is
it's
another
like,
guy.
well, yes and no. It's actually from a French developer called Cocktail Vision.
Yeah,
Like,
the documentary is French with subtitles mostly because the guys are French.
yeah. The thing is, it's one of those cases where it was created by a developer who got acquired by a publisher.
hmm
So it is technically correct to call Goblins a Sierra adventure game.
But it
But
wasn't a Sierra franchise when it was coming out.
yes, but it is also not, because it wasn't developed by any of the
hmm
mainline studios. There are other examples of this, like The Adventures of Willie Beamish, which was designed by um, Sierra Satellite Studio Dynamics. But we really don't need to get into the weeds of development publisher relations, especially since all of these companies are long dead.
Mm.
Um, the overall point is, Goblins is one of those series that managed to eke out a very long living, um, just not necessarily here in the States.
Yeah.
Um,
I never heard of
uh,
this back in the day, so
yeah, like I said, it's a name I remember because of that unusual emphasis,
mhm.
and like I know Sierra published like the first two, maybe the first three Goblins games, but I think they would drop the series by Goblins 4.
Mm.
Um
Well, again, 5 came out like 3 years ago.
yeah. Um you know, like I said, it's got a lineage that's very similar to another long-running adventure game series that Golux reviewed on the Nintendo Switch at the beginning of the year, Simon the Sorcerer.
hmm
Um, just changed the country. Instead of England, this is very French. Um, and with that, Golix, give us the details on the Goblins collection here.
So yes, this is a franchise of point-and-click adventure games. Uh, this contains 5 games, many of which are available in multiple versions. plus a music player for the franchise, and a documentary about the making that also has some bonus content like sprite sheets and stuff.
Yeah. That is something I did want to also mention about the Gobliiins collection in particular. So this game came out for consoles not too long ago, but did not see a modern PC release. As in, like, there is not this package of 5 games on Steam, for example.
With the bonus features.
Right. You can get the old Gobliiins games on GOG, but not in this package. It's really weird. It might have to do with the fact that this is published by our friends over at Red Art Games, who tend to be more boutique console publisher.
Though they have put some stuff on Steam, so I find it weird that this isn't
Yeah.
on Steam.
Yeah, no, like I said,
It's a
nobody's
PC
quite
release. Yeah.
yeah, nobody's quite sure what the deal here is.
It may have
But
something to do with rights because of GOG having the original games. We don't know. We'd have to talk to Red Art
yeah,
about that.
yeah. Anyway, you may proceed, Golux.
It's a little bit weird to have point and click games only on console, but yeah. And because this is a Switch 1 game, I could not use the Switch 2 mouse, though it does have, and it mentions that it has touchscreen controls, but they include like multi-finger taps for some of the inputs, which is not really my preferential thing. Also, not getting a bunch of fingerprints on my screen.
Also, there are a lot of Switch players who prefer to just keep their console docked.
But yeah, so 1 and also 4 and 5 star you playing 3 goblins, one of which is the brute force guy, one of which is the magic guy, and one of which is the like technical skills guy, which most in the first game at least means he has the ability to pick up and use items. And probably commensurate stuff. In the later ones, I did not actually really get to 4 or 5 much. Yes, in the first game you play as those 3 guys, and it is in the vein of Trine or The Last Vikings. Like, there are it's a point and click adventure game, but it's in a very puzzly way. That you have to use the specific skills of the 3 characters to solve the problems. The first game particularly is pretty light on explanatory text for what you can do, so you might be relying fairly heavily on the fact that you can... the controls for the ones that I really got to are the left stick moves the mouse, the shoulder buttons slow down the cursor for precision, the left trigger changes character, the right trigger highlights pretty much all interactable objects on the screen in the scene, because sometimes they're not all on the screen at the same time. 3 starts having state scenes that are bigger than one screen wide that you can scroll around on. The D-pad changes the resolution between a few different scaling and stretching versions and what the frame around the window looks like. Notably, the frame is designed for the smallest exact resolution version. If you have it on the larger approximate like correct aspect ratio, but like approximately scaled up to fill the whole most of the thing, the frame just gets cut off. Some of them have kind of neat art, I guess. Yeah, the first one has pretty clunky controls. Oh, and A button is the equivalent of click, and B button is the equivalent of probably right-click. It changes what verb your pointer is, which you can... in the first one, each character literally only has, like, the pointer that says go here, a fist that is, like, interact, which for the power guy is punch, for the tech guy it's punch or use item. For the magic guy, it's cast a spell at. And then the tech guy has another option, which is the pick up / put down item option. Honestly, after noodling around for about 5 minutes or more on the first screen, not really figuring out what I was supposed to be able to do, I ended up looking up a guide and used that for most of the games just to sort of see how it is, because my intuition for the kind of problem solving these things require ain't great.
Is there any sort of guide built in, or is it you still need to go look up like GameFAQs or whatever?
I just looked up on GameFAQs. There is not any tips in the game as far as I can tell.
Right. Well, because some like usually adventure games like this, some of them do have like built-in tips.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know if that was an
Yeah, no,
optional
this
tip
one
or
does
if
not
it's go
seem to.
GameFAQs.
So yeah, the first game, you're 3 little gnome goblin guys trying to save the king who has been bedeviled and driven mad by some malignant force with a voodoo doll. The second one, you're trying to save the king's son, who similarly has been bewitched or something. The third game, I think it's still in the same universe as the first two, but I'm not entirely sure. You're playing as like a guy who starts off as like an airship captain. You're not actually playing as a goblin at the start of the game, although you rather rapidly run into a bunch of them, and they're somewhat of a problem, but some of them are helpful, whatever. I actually did not get very far in 3 either, because when it started integrating the wide screen thing, it also started having more objects that you could interact with multiple times and in ways that were completely unhelpful.
They did the whole issue they had at this point in time where, oh, wider screen, we must fill the wider screen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a scrolling screen too, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just more bigger frame buffer. They want to fill everything instead.
More interactions. Also, the second and third ones, the third one especially has like regular voice acting from your captain saying that, like, having ideas about stuff when you click on something that you can't actually interact with. But yeah. They do refine it, like the second and third games have an inventory system instead of only having one guy who can use items, and he can only hold one at a time. But it's still a decent amount of like trying to figure out the right thing to get from one place to use in another place to either unlock a door or get past a threat thing. Some of them do have like game over screens, but you can always restart the current screen basically. And the first one, I think, auto saves every screen basically, but only has one save slot. And then the other two have had like save options.
Or I guess one should ask: is there any of the bullshit like with King Quest and like where you can just kind of be screwed if you don't do the right thing?
I don't think so, because you can start over from the start of the screen generally, and also there isn't usually anything you can do that permanently messes. There's a lot of stuff you can do for like comic interactions, and a couple of things you can do that, like, oops, you lost the game, but you get to start over from the beginning of the screen. There's no like, oops, you accidentally fed the cream pie to the dog in hour 1, so you don't have it around to throw in the giant's face in hour 10,
or you
without which you have no way to get past.
or you forgot to pick up this one pixel of a ring in your room and you cannot go back
Right.
there again. Rest in peace, Bozo.
Yeah, I
We
don't
call that a
think.
Walking Dead scenario.
Yeah, I don't think there's any of that. But yes, for the first 3 games at least, there are CD and floppy disk versions. The CD version has CD quality sound and VGA graphics. The floppy disk versions have options for no sound, worse sound, or slightly better but still worse than CD sound, and EGA graphics versions. The 4th game is actually in 3D, I believe. Certainly the graphics are in 3D. And between that and the fact that it has the first 3 guys back again, they have names, I can't remember them. They're Hat Goblin, Horns Goblin, and Beard Goblin. And then, again, 5 came out like 3 years ago, and it is back to the 2D style, which is clearly like a retro revival dealie. I'm a little bit surprised. Actually, I didn't check if Goblins 5 was ever released separately, or if this is just the release of it, but I assume it was released separately and then they just re-included it in this. Let me double check.
Live research.
Gobliiins 5. It is on Steam and available separately, yes. So yeah, the main thing, and then it has a music player, which the music is pretty decent. And the documentary, which I'm sure is interesting if you are into the development of a franchise like this.
Right.
None of the games seem to be particularly long, and I think the only real replayability value they have is if you want to go around and rub objects on other objects to see if you get funny interactions that you missed the first time. But a lot of the things that I saw in the guide that are like the correct solution are fairly like unintuitive, and there was another alternative that would have worked just as well, except for like on like the 3rd or something screen of the first game, there are 4 apples growing in a tree that you have to enlarge them, knock them off, and drop 2 of them in a gap to get across the gap. Only 2 of them are correct to do with this. One of them, the punching guy, I believe, just fully falls off the branch they're growing from while he's trying to punch them. But one of them seemed like it would work fine, and I just didn't even bother trying it because this is from that era of game where you like click on an area on the screen and the guy kind of walks over to it slowly. And in the first one, sometimes there are specific things like a stair or something that if you're on one side of it and you click too far away from the obstacle, he looks at you confused, so you have to like click to the bottom of the stairs and then click where you want to go. So the second one's got better at pathing. The other one's got better at pathing, but had more puzzles where you have to have one character do something and then a second character do another thing while either that character is doing the thing or other characters are reacting to the thing. Like you have to like make a distraction to grab a thing while people are distracted, or you have to have one character turn a faucet on and have the other character fill up the water from it. And all of those are like timed things rather than permanent. These characters will laugh forever. This water will be on forever.
Right.
So they're kind of clunky in the way that retro point-and-click games are. It's not bad, but it's definitely like of its time.
Well, specifically retro point and click that's trying to emulate a mouse because they won't let you have an actual mouse.
I mean, yeah, if you had an actual mouse, clicking on things would be a little bit easier. That's the other thing. Even if I could use the mouse, You can access menus from the top of the screen for like by just mousing to the top of the screen for like save and inventory and turn on the hints thing that the controller has button shortcuts for, or the touchscreen controls have like multi-tap things for,
Mm.
which I didn't try off because I screens generally when it's more than just the one touch thing. Like the mouse, the emulated mouse controls aren't bad, especially with a button to swap between characters instead of having to like click on them and
Yeah. And they also basically give you a sniper clutch as
yeah,
well.
that works too. Like clicking on them works too. It's not like you can't do that. I know.
Yeah.
I just feel like mouse and keyboard with some hotkeys might be a slightly more friendly way to play some of these games, but
Well, and that's
obviously
what they were
it's switched.
designed for, so that makes
Yeah,
sense.
but the Switch doesn't really
These
have a keyboard, so we're limited to what we have.
these are the original games, not like brand new remastered or re-engineered for the Switch, right?
Yep, the fourth one still has CG that looks extremely of its early 3D era.
Mm,
Translation, it's kind of it's not pretty.
fair enough.
Goblins 5 is actually on Steam too, so
Mm.
anyway. So yeah, do you guys have any questions or things that I have forgotten to mention that you want to know about?
I don't think so. I think we were pretty thorough.
All right.
Indeed.
So yeah, that's about. So what are they charging for it?
All right. So, in terms of the digital collection, it's going for $24.99. So $25. Now, it's also got a forthcoming collector's edition currently only for the PlayStation 5, but that's going to run you $65,
Well,
which
if you
is
I
a
get that,
pretty
it's a collector's edition, so you already know about the franchise and want the physical goodies,
Yeah, I was gonna say
probably.
that
Right.
I'm assuming that's come with physical tchotchkes and not just the game.
Yes, indeed. Like it's got a floppy disk,
Actual
a
floppy
post.
disk or
Functional or just functional or just like a 3D printed one.
I don't know. It just says floppy disk. PC
huh.
collector's box. Game. This one has the actual game in it. Can't believe that has to be a selling point.
Yeah.
Like,
Grumble, grumble. Someone 3D printed the save icon. Grumble, grumble.
I'm gonna take you out back and beat your ass.
anyway, it's got a booklet and a postcard signed by the creator.
Oh man.
So, you know,
I was hoping for a little bit more than that, but yeah, that's if you want that physical shit, you can get the physical edition. As far as this actual thing, I would probably mostly recommend it if you are into the retro game documentary things that also include the series. Much in the like to be worth it, you really want to be like. I'm not saying that's like a $20 isn't like a bad price. It's the 5 games, and they're all like none of them are like bad.
Mm,
Just to get the full value out of it, you're going to want to be interested in like seeing the differences between the floppy disk and CD versions of the games,
mhm.
you know?
And probably have
And
interest on the
actually watch
creator themselves.
the full documentary and unlock whatever it is that you get for finishing it, because I unlocked a key and some sprite art for doing the first section of it,
Mm.
but it was long and I didn't have a ton of time. So yeah. Um I think as far as a collection goes, it's very well put together. and is probably worth that. As just for the games, I'm not going to say a hard no, but you might want to try them somewhere else first. I don't know. On GOG or Steam or something. I don't know. Actually, how much is Gobliiins 5 on Steam?
Yeah, I guess it would be good to know what this is compared to, buying the games on PC.
Okay, yeah. On Gobliiins 5 on Steam is $10.99. So yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad deal.
Yeah, you're
just
based off
be
Gobliiins
aware
you're
that
getting all the games in a free documentary.
Mainly, it's just be aware that if you're not doing it mostly for like the I am interested in the historical aspects of this, or was already a fan of the franchise purposes, that these are clunky, retro, or at least 3 of them are clunky retro, point-and-click adventure games on a non-keyboard and mouse format.
Right.
Which is a significant caveat in my mind, even though I think the games are probably still worth experiencing.
Indeed.
So, yeah. I guess that's what I've got to say.
All right, then. So that'll about do it for the Gobliiins collection. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review Pay to Win: The World Is Mine.